That's right back, Charlie.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. As Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. I'm here with Jess, aka She Knows Arsenal. It's been like a week or so since we've done this platform. Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I can't lie. We have things to talk about.
Yeah, nice to see you smiling. Nice to see you smiling, man. Big up you, obviously doing the CBS and stuff, Mrs. Hollywood. She unfollowed me on social media, people. I'm just flowing that out there. But anyways, continue with this. As you said there, yeah. Well, I guess you're alluding to it. We beat Chelsea. We beat Spurs. How do you feel about the London derbies?
Man, the Chelsea one was that was hilarious. It was so funny. We just whooped them. And I don't think that we've ever wiped away a rival like that. It's but not recent. So that felt good. Especially after they were saying that they were gonna stop the title charge and all that kind of stuff. No, you weren't. And I thought, Havertz obviously getting the brace on their head top was great. Odegaard probably his best performance in an Arsenal shirt. It was a great day. And then
wait. Because Odegaard's best game in an Arsenal shirt against who? Chelsea or Spurs?
Chelsea. I think that was his best performance.
It's up there. Well, I wouldn't say that's what. Go on.
I think it was. Personally, yeah. If you can name a better one.
There's plenty, man. But listen, I'm digressing. I want to get your thoughts.
You can't say no and then not have an example.
I mean, I've got videos of them, man. I'll post the videos. Like, I'm pretty sure. I'm not into the debate with Odegaard. I'm a big fan of his. I don't think Chelsea was his best performance. Definitely one of his best assists in an Arsenal shirt. It was nice to see him get one of those because I'm sure you'd agree there was plenty of times this season where he's had some fantastic moments. And if someone would just put it in the back of the net, the propaganda would be crazy. And I want to get on to Havertz in a bit, but what did you make of the Spurs game, man? Because everyone's crying about Benjamin White playing around with a glove. I didn't know that was a penalty or a foul, better yet.
I just think Spurs need to get over it. Like this is the same the same fan base that for a couple of years under Mourinho and Conte tried to make us believe that playing negative tactics and playing on the counter was sustainable in every single game. Now that Arsenal employ that kind of like a similar style every once in a while, like we didn't have all the possession. They had a lot of possession. We hit them on the break. All of a sudden, it's not a legitimate win because they had a lot of possession. I'm like, which one is it? I just feel like Arsenal have played the best football in 2024, and it's not even close. And in two massive matches, we've decided to change our tactics. And, we've played a lot of football, and they have not. They had like 16 days to prepare for that game, and we had 3 games in a week.
Didn't do their homework properly.
Yeah, and you lost. You lost. You had all that time to prepare, all that possession, and it came to nothing. And offside is offside. I think they'll have their Garnacho thing, like United have, like pretending as though offside is not offside when you guys were the beneficiary of one of the worst calls this season against Liverpool earlier on this season, where Luis Diaz was onside. Like he was onside. That's like the only time where it was like, okay, that's legit, So don't pretend as though like the refs are against you. And, I guess I want to know what you think about the whole like Trossard tripping Kulusevski in the box, but I still feel like every bit of contact in the box is not always a penalty. If he calls that, it doesn't get called back. But if he makes an on-field decision and says it's not, it also doesn't get called back because it's not a clear and obvious error. And then Kai Havertz was just outrageous, the pass to Saka and the header. We deserve to win. We're the better team. Like, yep. I thought we were.
I think you're bang on the money. And to be honest with you, in relation to the Trossard thing, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. I have to trust the referees and the decisions they make. What I would say, and I think you made a good point about roughhousing. You know, we've both seen our football club. We've seen players' legs broken. We've been accused of being soft. Probably in the last 3 years, every week we see VAR go against us, and we're told to get on with it. Also, you know, if we look at when Arsene Wenger was here, and to a degree extended with Arteta, we've seen our team compete, have possession, have shots, do all of those things apart from the metric that matters, which is getting the 3 points. And it just feels like history is rewritten or the goalposts are moved exactly when we do something else. When other people do that against us, they're accused of being street smart. As you said, you know, Spurs had a lot to rest, a lot of time to rest. We obviously had a very big fixture schedule, and we just got on with it, man. And that's one thing I have liked about our football club. We don't have to be amazing. There's almost an ugliness to just getting the 3 points. Yes, I feel in the first half being 3-0 up, I can't take anything away from the players, but I do think a bit of a false image. But if you present us with these chances and we take them, particularly from set pieces, what can we really say? And as you said, Kai Havertz, if Odegaard did that, Jorginho, Partey, Declan Rice, I'd be waffling and waxing lyrical. So shout out to Kai Havertz. I don't think any new signing can say they've had a great week like that. Do you think Havertz has changed your... Go on, before I ask you.
I was just going to say that the last thing on that was, I do think that they played North London Derby and we played the title race. Like, I think they were very like North London Derby, like getting sucked into that. And we were very like emotionless and we're playing for the 3 points. And so, yeah, that was my last point on that.
And that's where I don't really care about it, because we just need to get 3 points and win games, man. You know, and I do like the fact of we can play ugly or we can play football and get 3 points. Sometimes it's previously felt in previous years that we've been very emotional in that regard. Does Kai Havertz change your thinking in relation to needing a striker? Because that's what people are probably debating in and around. Do we need a forward now?
Do I personally? I still think we should get a striker. Because I just feel like we don't need to complicate our lives further. I think that having a system and having a way of play that doesn't rely on one person is great. But even at a certain point, Pep decided he needed a striker, despite scoring all those goals. I do feel like you need somebody that you can just throw into a difficult fixture that only cares about scoring goals. And I do think there's been times under pressure where we haven't necessarily had that cutting edge. And so it's not just about the 95% of the games where we play well, it's the 5%. And that's when you go out of the Champions League to Bayern Munich. You know, it's those types of games, you know, away at City where, you know, it's really tight, but you could probably nick a goal. So I do think we need a striker. The only thing that changes my mind, or how Kai changes my mind in terms of the striker, is can we afford to bring in somebody that's maybe not as polished and finished, because Kai can, you know, start games, maybe, you know, start the games and that person can develop. I feel like that's changed, but I still feel like we need to bring in a striker. I still feel like we need a winger. I don't feel like anything has really changed. And I would be disappointed if Arsenal just decided not to get a striker because of Kai, because as good as Kai has been, he can miss chances too. Like, he can miss wide open chances as well. He's not the most clinical. And so, yeah, I still feel like we need a striker, but maybe it's the case that you don't go and get an Osimhen, or you don't spend 100 million on Isak and you go for a Sesko, you know, somebody that can develop, and then you go big on a winger, you know. So I feel like that's where Kai Havertz's form comes in. But in terms of not getting a striker at all, nah, you still got to bring one. I mean, what do you think?
I agree, man, because I feel a lot of things in football have to be black or white. It's like Havertz is doing the job, we don't need a striker. If Havertz is not doing the job, we need a striker. Just have the best of both worlds. Have the existing options, including Kai Havertz. For me, my ideal one would be, you know, can we get a striker that's more ready to hit the ground running, someone that's probably going to get 20 odd goals. I'm open to the Seskos and the rotational options that can grow and develop equally with Kai, because I would love to see, especially when, to go back to what we said, if Kai Havertz can play those passes like he did for Bukayo Saka in midfield, then I think I might take back everything I said about him in central midfield. But beyond filling in there, I don't think that's a strength of his. And I think he's a striker. And we all know he does all the other facets of what Mikel Arteta demands. And he's in a great run of form. He's obviously confident.
Yeah.
He's obviously improved his finishing. But whether that will continue, I don't know. And as you just alluded to, when you're talking about Bayern Munich and all of these kind of things, you need those players that make the difference. And it's a bit mad because we've scored over 100 goals, but now it's about fine margins and getting over the line. And obviously, Mikel Arteta knows exactly what he wants to do. Take nothing away from Kai Havertz, because we know he was brought in for many reasons, especially being able to play in a bunch of roles. But I just wonder if Jesus never had that injury and he never had those issues in central midfield, would we have found ourselves in this spot? Now that's circumstantial and I'm not complaining, but for me, we need a striker. From one striker to another, Jesus has been linked with a move away from the club. Where are you at with that? Talk, man. What's going on?
You're going to pretend like we didn't have this conversation and you bit my head off?
Talk. I haven't. I'm letting you talk. I'll talk after. This is how conversation works, Jess.
All
talk.
I'm saying, listen,
talk.
It was you and
like
me
he's gone, but talk.
And Gunnar Lee. And I said,
look at this snitching.
I said we shouldn't be trying to kick him out the door, but if a good bid came in, you should consider it. And that's just how I feel. I don't think that he's unsellable. I don't think he's infallible. I think that knee injury is so, without his explosiveness and his ability to, you know, kind of
still only missed 6 Prem games. I'm fighting for you, Jesus, man. I'm fighting.
Without that, he's very much so like down the pecking order, in my opinion. And so it's like, listen, if he was on lesser wages and stuff like that, and we could afford to have somebody on like almost 200,000 pounds a week as a rotational option, yeah, like I feel like fair. But
I can't afford that.
I think we can't afford it because we're not really City. Like I feel like those types of wages. I hate to be like an accountant, but those types of wages that the Thomas Partey and Jesus wages are for starters, and both of those players are starters at Arsenal that are not really living up to those they're not living up to it, whether they're not available, performances, whatever. And so having 200,000 pounds that you could give to a striker that you really want or a midfielder that you really want, I think is valuable for a team like Arsenal that are not, playing with the same deck of cards that Man City is playing with, So I do think you have to think about it. Now, I'm not saying throw them away. Like when I say a good offer, I mean a good offer.
What's a good offer?
Like a good offer is like 40 million, somewhere in there.
5 million hit there.
So, but yeah, I think this is the right direction. I think Arsenal do need to be more ruthless and not just keep people around. And if he was still performing the way he was in those first 4 months, I wouldn't even consider it. But the knee injury is very suspect. So yeah, how do you feel about it? I know you love him and you want to keep him, but genuinely, do you think that he should be like if Napoli or whoever offered 40 million, would you not jump at it?
I'm not taking 40 million for Gabriel Jesus. You throw another 10, everyone's got a price. As you said there, he's definitely not indispensable. Right now, in current form, you're nowhere near the starting lineup. But I'm not being funny. You've won 4 Premier League titles. I need to see a winger in the central midfielder come in. I'd love to take a leaf from City's book and just have you as a squad player. And until we start winning Prems and Champions Leagues and things, if nothing more, the likes of him, assuming we signed a striker, Kai Havertz, we raised the level of our squad players. Naturally, there's going to be rumours because he's not been fit, because he's out of the side and stuff. Now, a big thing about this football club is standing by players and supporting them. Jesus, obviously, you being on the pitch has to dictate what you're doing, but I'm going to stand by him. Where my issues come, and I probably more align with you, is the knee injuries, because he does look like a shadow of his former self. In the same way you're not an accountant, I'm not a doctor, but it seems like he's not playing with, he's not to correct this. And it's just played a massive role as to why his season's been terrible. But saying that, I've seen this man play out wide, and when we've gone and put in some good performances, you did help change our lives, as Mikel Arteta said. I understand being ruthless and we can't rest on our laurels, but until I wake up and there's another striker in this squad and there's strong wide depth, then I'm not entertaining selling Gabriel Jesus. From him to another, though, have your Thomas Partey thoughts changed with his 2 games? He was a monster, to be fair, in the 2 London derbies.
Nope. Absolutely not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think listen, I feel like we've spoken about this so much, is that it's not about him being a good player or not. Nobody ever really debated that. Nobody ever said that he was crap. In fact, like I said that he was like a unicorn. You said I was doing too much, but I do feel like
I
Thomas
call him a
Partey.
unicorn.
I called him a unicorn, and you said I think you're doing a lot. I think you're doing a lot. I remember.
I think we need to contextualize stuff. This sounds like hating because I thought
It's
we were
not. It's
quite
not.
aligned on Thomas Partey.
No, it's not. I'm going back in the conversation where we've had this conversation, and both of us do rate him. Like nobody doesn't rate him. The problem is that you've seen the levels that we've been able to play at for the last 2 games, and I feel like anybody that wants to keep him has to rethink this whole thing, because watching how good we play with him has to be frustrating. It's more frustrating to me than anything, because I'm like, we've gotten this like the game against Spurs was the second time, or the first time since August he's started 2 games in a row. August. It's May. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like,
and he's 31 too.
Yeah, I feel like you should be frustrated, not doing I told you so's. Like there's no I told you so here. We need to move him on or bring in somebody that can play. Even if you had somebody that was 5 to 10% less talented than him, having somebody there for 90% of the games, we're laughing. So nothing has changed. He's a good player. When he's out there, he does special things. He was great against Chelsea. He was good against Spurs. Nothing has changed. And I do think that, Jorginho staying is interesting. Maybe Arsenal also think that Jorginho would be the better option to stay as a backup. Again, wages come into play here. Jorginho's on 100 and something thousand pounds per week, and Thomas Partey is on double that. So all those things come into play, but nothing has changed. We know his level. We just don't see it. What do you think? Has your mind changed?
That's the harshest thing. No, I mean, it can't change with Thomas Partey, can it? I love the guy. He's one where I'm not like, if we was to talk about respectfully the Eddies, the Lokongas, them kind of players there, they need to be gone tomorrow. I wouldn't force Thomas Partey from the door, but as you're kind of alluding to, for all his quality, you need to be fit. We know you're amazing. You've shown it in the Community Shield. You've shown it in some cameos this season. Obviously, shown it last week. We know he's a quality player, but it's either a twofold. It's like, I have to start looking at Mikel Arteta because Partey is a quality player, but if you're building your squad around someone that can't be fit, to be fair, him and Timber's injuries put a spanner in the works, then I have to ask questions. Or it's a thing where, do we demote Thomas Partey's role in that, which you kind of alluded to, when you start talking about wages, it gets a bit technical. Now, I think Thomas Partey is a bit of a difficult one because, you're turning 31 in the summer. Couple teams abroad wait a couple of months, they can get you for free. We have to assume that he wants to leave Arsenal because, as you said, he's on big wages that he might not get elsewhere. So that's where it starts to become a bit technical. In a weird way, though, I would love for the club to struggle to move Partey on and for Jorginho to say he wants to leave through nothing with them, just because it will force the club to get that long-term midfield option partner for Declan Rice, or that long-term option. So that's where I'm at with it. And I agree with you with Jorginho. I think the club are more likely, clearly the club probably know Partey's the better player, but Jorginho's a good voice in the dressing room. He's clearly doing his coaching badges. He's on less wages, and it's not really that mad, but he's fit a lot of the time, excluding Partey. But I do think midfield's a big option, just that we need to improve on in the summer to the point. You don't think where,
are you that like concerned that we're not going to get the midfielder? Because I'm not that. I think it's like it has to happen.
I don't know what the club's doing in it, because if you ask me in August if Kai Havertz be shining up front, I would look at you like you're smoking something special. So I don't know, but I say it every time. Edu and Mikel Arteta were midfielders. When Thomas Partey's played at times, Declan Rice and Odegaard, it's like their eyes have lit up, and I feel that has the best trio with Odegaard, Rice, and Partey, and that it gives you dynamism, it gives you obviously physicality, it gives you a lot on the ball, and it's kind of unbeatable. But if the man's not fit, then the man's not fit, essentially, man. And it's going to be a technical one. I would like Thomas Partey to stay, but I do think we kind of have to replace players before they need replacing, if I'm honest. We've just done a runner, man. Partey got onto us still. Said, give her a second, folks. So you've got me. How much for Martinelli and Jesus? 100 million.
I don't know what happened to my camera.
David, John, to be fair, Martinelli, I'm not too sure, especially with his injuries. Jesus, if you give me 50 million, that's something to consider. But yeah man, if I'm honest. So what you said, I'd keep Partey.
What do you think about the The
Go
Bruno
on.
G stuff.
I mean, you know me, bring Bruno Gomares tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not really on this £100 million thing, but it's not my money. If that's the price we have to pay, that's the
Oh
price
my
we have
God,
to pay.
my camera's gonna turn off again. Hold on.
And she's going through her madness, people. Don't worry, man. Like Declan Rice, I'll carry this stream as I always do. And that sexy chocolate darling. But as I was saying, for me, and I'd love to know you lot's thoughts, I would love Bruno Gomares tomorrow. I'm not on paying 100 million, but the reality is it's not my money. I do think he's going to end up at Man City. Personally, I think they're going to get him and Paqueta, but I'm having Bruno Gomares tomorrow. Can play as an 8, can play as a 6. You look at the way Eddie Howe plays at Newcastle and Arteta. In terms of the pressing and things like that, there's a lot of transferable skills. He's a player that should have been at our club since his days at Lyon, man. So I'm all for it, really. I think that would be very transformative. I think us Arsenal fans, we get hung up on this 8 and 6 stuff. And obviously there is, you know, sense to it. You need an 8 and a 6, but where you look at Rice, some games he's the 6, some games he's the 8. Even the way Arteta plays 8 is very different to how most teams do, even the 6 row. And I think we need 2 multifunctional ones. Bruno Gomares, out of the Premier League based players, Bruno Gomares be my first choice. If you can revisit Douglas Luiz, fair enough. Regardless, I'd love Zubamendi tomorrow, man. And the Fofanas, the Kimmiches, they'd all be amazing. Where Kimmich is concerned, though, Bayern Munich are going to get another manager, so that we probably have to tread carefully there. Monaco's Fofana, I think that's very feasible if we want it.
I like
we
him.
saw exactly, and we saw firsthand what he's on at the Emirates. So yeah, and I do think Edu and Arteta will know they need to get a midfielder. But for me, this club will not go to where it needs to go until we have that midfield option. Until you've got someone to mimic what Partey wants. And then obviously next season we're going to see a fit Timber. We're going up the gears, man. I think I don't know where would you stand actually on this, yeah? Obviously, central midfield and a striker, they're both vital. But just for this example, you can get whatever midfielder in your image. We don't need to get hung up on names, but a really transformative midfielder, that left 8, let's assume, or that striker that's getting 20 odd, and the rest of the squad stays the same, bar the obvious. Where are you leading to? You can only have one.
Well, you said where was it
Top
leading
level
to?
striker, 20, 25
and
goals,
the midfielder,
or the 8.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah, say which one?
The striker.
No, we have to get the midfielder.
See, this is where I'm conflicted, just because I am screaming midfield.
Go get Bruno G. I'm so sorry. Like, just go do it. I guarantee I'll be wrong about a lot of shit, but this ain't it.
Oh, you have, yes.
This ain't it. This ain't it. The midfielder will change our lives.
Yes,
genuinely.
It will. Facts.
It will. The excitement that everybody has because Partey is back. Just imagine that, but the whole fucking season. The whole season. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would spend this, whatever, because I saw like there was a report that you could get Bruno G for like 70, 80 million. I'm spending that.
So am I. Even though we're fighting City and PSG for him, and I don't know where we're at. I personally think him and Lucas Paqueta are both going to end up at City, but I think we need to go for it, man. We can't let Rodri and Bruno Guimaraes be a midfield duo. We'll be in trouble. That would be
horrible.
Might as well quit.
But it just makes sense. Like, I could just see it. Like, obviously, he was devastated that we didn't go get him, and he was acting like a little bitch about it. But we'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. It's fine. Like, relax. And for people that are like, well, I don't want him because he hit Jorginho over the head. I'm like, listen, sometimes you need
business, man.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, just like we're happy about the things that Ben White does, Ben White does some fucked up shit, but he's our dude. Like, he's
one of the players you like if they play for you.
Yeah, and I feel like Bruno G would be exactly the same. Plus, he's quality. I've seen people say like he's not really that good. I'm like, guys, we can lie about a lot of things, but let's not lie about
that.
His
Is
quality.
grade A hating. Bruno Guimaraes
like,
is a
let's
baller.
Be serious, you
one
know,
of the best central midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, so that's where I would spend. That's what I would do first. And
all
then
right, before you go on, Isaac or Guimaraes then? Because that's another player you like.
I mean, I'm still going for Bruno. And that's going to be an unpopular opinion because I know people, is it Henri regen? I'm like, yeah, but I need that midfielder. I'm tired of watching this midfield have to make do or make it work. I'm tired of seeing that. And we've done a good job, but like, Yeah.
It'd be nice to just have some super options. And as much as, you know, I get on to Thomas Partey and many of the players that are injured, as much as I like Arteta and I rate him learning from hindsight and applying foresight and being very methodical, you're too smart of a man for me to keep sitting here and hearing we've got one of the smallest squads and we keep going over this injury stuff with several names. Like, I love Partey. We've gone on with Jesus. You've got Tomiyasu, Zini and Jorginho actually get knocked.
Yeah.
Fabio Vieira. Now, I'm not saying we need to sell them all. They're all crap and all of that sort of stuff. But how many times are we going to keep crying about the same situation before it's changed, man? I think a midfielder will change our lives. How many midfielders would you like? Because for me, I'm screaming two. I accept that it's only one, but I would love to.
You greedy.
Hello.
I mean, I would like to, but the one game changer one I could accept, because
Yeah,
I know that
exactly.
there's still work to do up front. Like, there's work to do up front. And I think we have probably one more season of trying to understand what the levels are with either one of or both of Fabio Vieira and Emil, because that's the other position that needs to be looked at is, do we need another number 10 or another creative midfielder?
Slightly.
And right now there's like
not there as peak.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that position. Like, somebody that we've been linked to that I would take is Morgan Gibbs White. I would take him. But, you know, would we do better off just seeing what happens with Emil and Fabio Vieira next season?
Well, you
I
play
think
Morgan
so.
Gibbs White in the 10.
I mean, the thing about him and like as a number 10 is, like, obviously he's creative for Nottingham Forest. He's the only creative player that they pretty much have. But I do think that the difference between him and Emil and Fabio is that he doesn't get shoved off the ball. He's not unreliable when it comes to the off the ball work. And so he can do that 8/10 thing that Odegaard does. And I think that's the problem with the double 10s is when you put either Fabio or Emil there with Odegaard, you lose that solidity. So I don't know if that could just be fixed tactically, but
I think
there's
if we got
something
Gibbs
not
White, we'd
quite
have to change
there.
that.
There's something not quite right when we play the two number 10s. So yeah, but I still think we have another year of figuring out what those two have, you know, because there's so much
I don't
work
even
to do
think
up
so with
front.
Smith Rowe, man. I'm getting upset. I don't even think we got another year, man. It's
I think
breaking my heart.
we will get another year. I don't see.
I hope you're right, because you
Yeah,
know
I
how
think
much of a fan I am of him.
yeah, I mean, well, first of all, you have so many other players that, like, let's say we want to raise funds. There's so many other players you can do that with. You still need to
Ramsdale.
maintain some homegrown players, right? And you know, you're going to get rid of one of Partey or Jorginho possibly. El Neni's going. I don't really see
Frederick's
like
gone.
Emil as like an emergency, like you have to get him out. I don't see it like that.
So money talks kind of thing. If an offer was
Yeah.
presented and there was offers in January, then we've got a decision
Yeah,
to make.
exactly. It wouldn't hurt to keep him around, but I still feel as though like we need to have questions answered. I still feel like there's too many questions around both of them.
Around
And neither
half
of
of the
them I
squad,
would
really.
feel confident stepping in for Odegaard. And that's the biggest concern that we have. Like, if Odegaard were to go down, you know, the first person that would go in that position is probably
Havertz.
Kai.
Yeah, it's definitely
Exactly.
Havertz because
Yeah.
that's where you get. I think what people forget, as much as, you know, Odegaard's got, you know, the glee on the ball and all of that, you have to run a lot in that Mikel Arteta system. Naturally, it'd be Kai. Personally, I'm a fan of Morgan Gibbs White, but not in the 10. It'd be another one, kind of like with Kai to a degree. We'd have to change how we're playing. I kind of would like a poetic 8.5 or a 10, but they're difficult to find, really and truly. And it is an issue, you know. It'd be lovely if Fabio Vieira was fit. Me and you have spoken at lengths of him and we're fans of him, but at the end of the day, you know, we always forget that this guy is really here. And I would really love next season for Fabio Vieira to lay down a marker, because 30 million, you're a forgotten man. And people keep saying it, like, what's going on there, essentially. So I guess we're going to have to see in that regards, man. Obviously, we've gone over striker, we've gone over central midfield, we've touched on the 10, which goes into midfield. We know we're going to need a backup goalie, and we've touched on a wide man. Do you think we need defensive reinforcements?
It's right on the line of want and need. I think if there was one position that I would maybe overlook, might be that, knowing that I would regret it instantly the first injury that we got back there. We have a lot of players that could cover positions. It's just the level to which they can cover those positions. Like, really, Tomiyasu and Kivior can both cover center back, but do we trust them? I don't know. Does Arteta trust them? I don't know. We have loads of players that can play at left back. Do we like those options? No, but
Only
can
about
we?
three, only about 2.5 of them. Well,
Yeah,
three,
I
but
mean,
one comes with a lot of cons. Rest
yeah.
is
So
in.
can we trust those? Does a left center mid make it so that we don't have to rely on the left back being so involved, so it's fine? Watching Tommy the last couple of days, I love the way that Tommy applies himself to games, but I do feel like
He was
he
shit on the
leaves,
ball against Spurs.
yeah, he leaves me
And trust him.
wanting. Yeah. Um, and then you have Kivior, who's just like up and down and up and down, and then you have Zinni. So I think now I know this is an unpopular opinion. I think we should go get a left back. I know people are like, well, Timber can play there, but I'm like, but Timber also I always felt like was supposed to come in as a right back. I feel like it would be strange to bring in a right-footed, right-sided center back, right back to play left. I never thought that was the plan. I think it ended up being something that worked. And so knowing that Ben White, who's one of our most important players, and also will probably need surgery. I feel like people are forgetting that. Ben White over the summer most likely will need to get
him and
surgery.
Jesus.
So he might be out at the beginning of next season. The person that I would idealistically want playing in that position is probably Timber. So I think you need to get a left back. What kind of left back? It changes every day. One day I'm like
unicorn type, man.
Yeah, I'm like, one day I'm like, go get so-and-so. I like Nuri from Wolves because I just think he looks great on the ball. But is he good enough defensively? I don't know. Do I care?
He's
I don't
suitable
know.
defensively. He could improve a lot, but
Yeah,
I think he's cool.
I like the way he plays. Like I feel like you want somebody that can do the midfieldy stuff, but doesn't leave you so exposed but it has to be somebody that's actually a defender. So I think a left back. I think we'll skip over the center back, even though we know we need it. But listen, I don't know. What do you think about the defender? Would you just skip it or what?
Nah, man. I mean, if it's up to me, I want to be greedy and act in all regards. I would like someone of the Timber and Tomiyasu ilk that can kind of play across the back four. In theory, we have got options defensively. I don't think we'll see Timber play centre half, if any, too many times for this club, but he can do it. Tomiyasu can do it. Kirill can do it. I think we'll harp on. I think, if anything, we'll see a left back introduction. And it is right with what you're saying. Personally, I think Timber was kind of brought in to play left and right, but it's quite interesting that with Timber coming back, with Tomiyasu signing a new deal and Zinni still here, that was still looking at a left back. I would love the young Hato at Ajax. If I was him, I probably wouldn't depart Ajax for another year. I would probably stay where I am. We have been linked with El Nouri. I'm not too sure on how he is in terms of inverting, but defensively, he's suitable. Going forward, he's quality. I was watching the Chelsea game last week or the week before, and it just made me, or whenever before he got injured, and I would have loved for us to have had a player like Gusto in our team. You can play left back, play right back. You're just calm. And I think we need to make those shrewd and smart additions.
What
and
about
then obviously we've got to look at backup goalies.
What about Ian Maatsen from Dortmund?
I mean, you got to prize him from Chelsea, though, innit? I mean, he'd be lovely, but he's an appreciating asset. And to be fair, do you know what? We've shown that we can do business with Chelsea. He has a lot to improve defensively, but good going forward. And if I was Chelsea, I'm selling him to Dortmund. If I'm Maatsen, I'm probably going to stay at Dortmund. But that's another one, really. It's not annoying, but when you see these players kind of pop up, you're kind of thinking, oh, if only we took an opportunity, if only we took a chance, really. Would you reintegrate Tierney?
Fullbacks, though. I just feel like you're either going to get the center back, fullback, or the midfield, or like you're not going to get.
We're not going to get a traditional left back.
Yeah, I just don't. That's why I don't really look at them like that, because I'm like, I know that's not what we're going to get. Would like us to circle back around at to Hato as well. I know that he just signed a new deal, but I don't give a shit. New deals don't mean shit. Like, Ajax are crap. So
go for the money now, man. What you want to give Tierney a new lease of life at Arsenal?
Who?
Damn.
No, I'm just joking. No,
Damn.
I think it's time to call time on Kieran.
It's a shame, but even him, are we even going to move him on, because he ain't pulled up too many trees in Spain? Apparently, Celtic want him, and Aston Villa want him.
I think we'll end up selling for cheap to Celtic.
We have no choice. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Ain't pulled up any trees. We owe Celtic some money. Sorry, we're not getting our £25 million back. We should be able to.
If we get 10, I'd be surprised.
I can't lie. Even that we're bumping ourselves. If we're getting 10, you might as well just sit on the bench for a sec, Tierney, man. I can't lie to you.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
just be part of the the bench
what are the
brigade.
comments saying?
Let me see what the comments say. DG, if Saudi offers us 70 or plus, who would you bring in? I'm not too sure for who though. Like, who would I'm not sure for Jesus. Well, yeah, Jesus can cut for 70 million. Would love Upamecano, extremely overrated, but wouldn't mind him. Arojo would be lit. Diamonde's decent, but again, where I look at Diamonde, Gurhi, Delit, I'm not doubting that Arsenal like these players. I'm not doubting that there's every willingness to bring these players in. And obviously, if we want competition, we can't just sit there and say, oh, well, Saliba and Gabriel are there. Take nothing away from them. But I just put myself in these defenders' shoes. Yes, you've got a great manager in Arteta. We're developing well. But if you're not genuinely going to come in and start games, or for argument's sake, if a centre-back's been told by Arteta you're playing ahead of Saliba, what if you're Gurhi and these guys? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I know if you can play in other roles, great, but it don't really make sense. And is that the best? I can't tell Arsenal anything, but if we was to spend 50 million on a centre half with what me, Jess, and some of you lot have been saying about central midfield, up front, out wide, obviously money has to be able to stretch, but would that be the best way of utilizing our resources?
And
I don't
that's
know.
the thing. I like Diamande, and I mostly would want him just to stop anybody else from getting him, and just being greedy. But the reality is that you're buying somebody as a backup to Gabriel and or Saliba, but we need a starter at left back. So that's where my mind is thinking. I don't look at any of the three that we talked about and think, yeah, that So it's like you have to kind of put that on the back burner, I feel, and go for the left back. Because honestly, I'm tired of the merry-go-round back there. I know that there's like an element of like you want to have multiple options, but genuinely, it's like just picking like, okay, the least worst right now. And I know that sounds bad because I like Tommy and stuff like that, but like none of them move me the way that Ben White or Timber would. We need to buy a left back, a starter, and just call it a day. Sorry. Like,
I think that's harsh, man. I'd persist with Timber and Tommy, but like you said, if you can identify one of these unicorns that brings something, then go and do it. I like Kirill and what he's done, but there's been moments he's shown he's not levels, and I think Arteta's had to change the system. And it would be nice to see him just play centre half. Zinni comes with a bag of problems, and I feel with us just getting better, being more dominant, having different creative solutions, especially if we sign a midfielder, the pros to Zinni's game are not outweighing the cons. And I actually feel the very fact that Zinchenko, a bit like Jesus, who were going to cross that territory, but the very fact that Zinchenko's got 2 years left on his deal, people can't take away from him. He did change our system. The fact that there's been radio silence in relation to a new contract to him, I think it speaks volumes. I think that says to Arsenal are probably considering moving him on, not to take away anything he's done or doing or what he means to the squad. So it's a difficult one. Do you feel, what sort of winger would you want? Because for me, without getting into names, I want to see pace, like electrifying pace. Easier said than done, but electrifying pace.
Yeah, I think the main thing would be pace. Like, I don't know if this player actually exists, but my ideal profile for like a left winger would be, now before people shoot me down, just say I said profile, not person, is Rashford. Like, I just feel like he would be like that kind of player would be perfect for us. A
Would you
goal
take
scorer.
Marcus?
Yes, I would. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. Well, I got one more. I can save him in me. I have one more rehabilitation job.
Arteta can't save all the hoes, man.
Listen, I have one more in me.
I'd rather take Jaden, if I'm honest.
I rate him. I rate Rashford. And I think he's just in a bad situation that he needs to be saved from. Look at Jaden. But
yeah, I'm more on taking Jaden Sancho, but them kind of youths are volatile as well.
Is Sancho fast enough?
I mean, look at him, really. You see, you've gone to Germany, you're not eating patties and all these things, and you look decent again, man. I just think with Sancho, his IQ, I think he plays with his brain a lot more than Rashford. I think he's more adaptable. I think his footballing
definitely
IQ
has
is a lot
better
higher.
footballing IQ.
And that's the thing with Rashford. Can we, obviously, whatever we say about Odegaard and Havertz, because Arteta saved them, them man got brains. They have a brain. Havertz has a brain.
Dummy, but
has Rashford got that? Has Rashford got a brain, though?
He's a dummy, but he's a good dummy.
That
man can score so many goals. Okay, but here's
20,
my thing.
You talked about wages. 26 years of age, potentially on 300. Well, he's on 300 grand a week at Man United. This don't make sense, Jess, surely.
I mean, sell who you need to sell, and it's fine. No, but I think here's the thing. I said like the profile is more what I'm looking at than anything. Rashford it's not ever happening. It's not even realistic. But a tall, pacey, goal-scoring winger would be ideal. The other option would be somebody like Neto, who's
Kind
not
of
as
just
tall
stay
or
fit.
whatever, but is just like insanely good. If he was not injury prone, there would be no conversation to be had.
Facts.
That's the place in that you just go to Wolves and you say, what do you want? But
Do you think
because
we could
he's
prize him though? Because would you take a chance on him? Because injuries, I can't
you
lie. If
know,
he's
it
available at a
depends.
discount, I'm on it.
It depends on how much they're willing to knock off the price. Like I'm big on like, okay, this is
50
damaged
mil, let's
goods.
do this,
Like I
man.
need a sale. Like how much money are you taking off? What is the percentage? If you're asking for 60 million for somebody that's played 20% of the season, I'm out the door. But if you say 40, 50, yeah, like
40,
I
50,
probably,
let's get it done, man. We'll swing
yeah,
in
yeah,
Fabio Vieira on loan or something.
yeah.
Or even a
No,
mil.
absolutely not.
Hey, you got to negotiate sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
not saying Fabio's part of the squad for me, but I'm just saying if they said, listen, we like
But
our Portuguese players, we'll hold him for a
yeah,
year.
I
Means
that's
to an end.
that's what I would do. Like maybe Pedro Neto on a deal, like a because he's also an Arsenal fan. I think he'd jump at the chance. Or the tall, pacey, goal scoring Rashfordy type. One of those.
The thing is, I like Rashford, and I don't want people like I was fighting his case on my live stream yesterday. I like the illusion of Rashford for points you said.
Maybe it's the
Obviously,
illusion.
yeah, he's an illusion, but it's the footballing IQ.
Yeah.
You'd probably take Martinelli's spot for the money you'd be brought in, but are you clear of Martinelli? Even when you've scored 20 odd goals, it's just bookie goals. You've never striked me as someone that plays with a brain. You've got fantastic technical ability. You're capable of doing some crazy stuff, but there's not enough
Arteta can save
consistency.
him.
Yeah, Arteta save other things, man. Like Arteta, you're saving Havertz, keep that up. Odegaard, keep that up. The other players keep that up. We're saving too many guys, man. How if you're on a plane and you save everybody and put life jackets on everyone, you're gonna end up dead. One love for the super chat, and I'd be all for bringing in Bakayoko. He's only 20. He's another player that cooked Kirio, but when times got tough. But it's cool.
I
Man.
like him too. And Nico Williams also, but I
think he's overrated. I'm gonna do a video on him, and that doesn't mean he's bad.
No, I don't think he's bad. I think the thing about the whole Nico Williams, these guys, is that maybe it's just a little bit of like, okay, they're good, but I kind of want better and much better. Pedro Neto, like, just completely is like so much better than him.
I think there's a lot of upside though, but he's just too raw.
Yeah, there's a lot of upside.
And when I say overrated, I don't feel he's overrated as a footballer. I just think, when fans just get hung up on a player and they just start moving like they can walk on water and that.
He's not on Neto's level. Like Neto is ready to step straight into our team. I think Nico Williams might need some time coaching, So are we looking for a developmental winger? Or are we looking for somebody that's going to take us up a level? That's the question I think you have to ask. I think we need somebody
us to get that guy, but I don't think we will. I think it depends, man, because if we bought exactly, if we buy a Sesko, then it opens up a blockbuster winger. You buy a development winger, then it's other things. And that's where there's a lot of moving parts. I'm sure the club have their plans, but players we thought were available might not be available. People we thought were going to leave this club might not leave this club. We've got to be able to move in several different directions.
Okay, so I think this all depends on who does Arteta trust more, Havertz or Martinelli. I think that's what it comes down to. If Arteta trusts Havertz more, we'll get a developmental striker and get a better winger. If he doesn't trust
I've got to say Havertz at this moment in time, man. He's slightly more experienced and all of that.
Yeah, and how many times has Arteta tried to buy a winger? Like, do you see what I'm saying?
And that's the weird thing, because when I look up front, and Martinelli, you can be part of the squad. If we see the Martinelli from last season, great. Havertz, I like what you're doing. Take nothing away from what you're doing. I'm not saying you should. If you're playing like this, regardless of bringing in a new striker, you keep your spot. But where I look at our front line, Saka's the only one I'm like, cool, your position is not up for debate no matter what happens. Martinelli, you're part of the squad. Starting 11, I don't know. Big up Trossard and the rest of them, Jesus, all of them. Up front, we don't, and in many ways, it makes me applaud Mikel Arteta more in that people talk a lot of nonsense about Arsenal. We've got a left back in Bukayo Saka scoring all these goals. We've got a striker who can't score in Havertz leading the title charge. You know, one of our best centre mids in Partey can't stay fit. We're doing madness, but these are the conversations I hope when we're streaming next season that we're not necessarily saying. I think he trusts Havertz a lot more because Havertz's game is better than Martinelli's in a sense of he's going to affect the game across 90 minutes. I do think because of the way we set up, it isolates Martinelli and the lack of a left-sided 8 and obviously inconsistencies at left back. But this is why I told fans to calm down with Odegaard and Martinelli in particular on the goal scoring front, because last season what they achieved was very good. Martin Odegaard of recent has found his goal scoring boots, ain't going to get 15 again. Martinelli's very, very volatile. That's why he's not in the Bukayo Saka conversation yet, because you haven't got those numbers. People have sat here and said Saka is having a bad season, and of course there's moments he could have done better. But the man's got 15 league goals and like 30 plus goal and assist contributions. Yeah. He's the only one we can rely upon, as well as how good our system's been. Would you take Bowen? I'm having Bowen and Kudus from West Ham tomorrow.
It's
more
so
Kudus.
Funny.
But yeah,
I was saying like I think Bowen would be good in our team. This was
Cook
like before, I think when we were linked with Rafinha, like around that time, I was like, what about Bowen? And people were like, no. And I was like, no, I think Bowen could do a job for us. But not as like a starter because he plays on the same side as Saka. But like as like another option.
Can play up front as well.
Kudus. We should have done that shit.
Him and Gomares as well as Paqueta, those are free signings. I just feel why haven't they been signed by Arsenal? Apparently Kudus has a release clause. Whatever that release clause is, I don't know. But that could be music to our ears.
Yeah, there's something about maybe I don't know why Arteta, I don't see Arteta player in Kudus. I don't think so.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't know why. I just feel like Arteta probably looked at him and said, nah, I'll wait for Neto.
I think the bigger clubs did kind of have something against him because he was kind of whoring himself out for that move. And with the greatest of respect to West Ham, they seem to be the only ones to kind of, get it done.
Playing a possession team?
Kudus, 100%. Have you not seen how he plays ball? Of course. He just come through Ajax. If he's ever been at Ajax, of course you can play possession football. 100%.
Yeah. I wonder if that's what the only thing I could think of was that maybe he's better as like a transition threat. You get
plenty of transitions at Arsenal, like Saka's second goal. Well, Saka's goal at Spurs. I think he's cool, man. He plays with a lot of intelligence, man. I'd have him, but I just think it's a non-starter, really. I think Nico Williams is kind of a low risk, I say low risk. We're talking about signing people for millions of pounds. I just think I'd rather work. You see how you just said, Arteta can save people, not that Nico Williams needs saving. I'd rather Arteta, you work your magic with someone like Nico Williams because you're young, you're impressionable, you haven't necessarily picked up bad habits as opposed to a Rashford. I don't really want to save players and things of that ilk, if I'm honest. Would you take Onana? Because I know you've been critical on him. We've been relinked with him. We've been relinked with him.
What?
You're not having Onana?
We've been relinked.
It could just be journalists. Let me try to find the tab. Like it could just be journalists just trying to get paid and
we are so beyond this, guys. Like seriously, okay. No, watching that Bayern Munich and Real Madrid game, you cannot be thinking about Onana. You cannot be thinking about Onana with the quality that was out there. The levels that we need to be looking at is right over there at Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes, go get him.
Onana's part of the squad, but
no, come on. Well, he could be a part of the squad, but again, because we've went around the house,
rotationary six for me.
We're just not, but we're not there. Like we're not in a position right now. We need to go get the starter. It's taken us too long to arrive here. Had we had already like done this, we could be looking at like a Fofana or a Onana or something to come in and be a backup.
Oh, you're being harsh on Fofana though. I'm having him because he can pass the ball.
Well, yeah, I would have him, but I still feel like Bruno Guimaraes would be the better option as like the main person.
Yeah, he would. All right, let's part that then. Let's say Guimaraes is top. Cool. And then you've got Luiz, Onana, Fofana.
Oh, then Fofana would be my number one option to bring in as like if we the next season, if we got rid of Jorginho, that's the next person I'm looking at. Boom, done.
I can't laugh. We can't get Gomares. I'm trying to get Douglas Luiz. If that can't work, I'm trying to get Fofana. But I've already said I'd prefer two midfielders. I know it's not realistic with Kai Havertz, Fabio, and Smith Rowe all able to play there. There's a reality where Jorginho and Partey could both leave, they could both stay, or one of them's gone. So I don't know. And also, we don't know what Mikel Arteta is planning for his squad, really. He might just say, you know what, Kai Havertz, I'm going to make this midfield thing work. And you're right, Kay, in that Brighton were interested in Kudus and it didn't happen. Sometimes these players where it looks so obvious that they could get moves, sometimes they don't move through external factors that really have nothing to do with football. But as just armchair experts and football fans, we're just not really with that. Do you remember Jonathan David? Are you having him? Because that's the first time I've seen his name again. Forget about all of that for me.
Might as well keep Eddie. You want to Jonathan David?
He's gone under the radar. There's no talk of sales with him. It's just all Jesus at the moment. He's gone under the radar, man.
What? Because I think it's like I did see Fabrizio Romano spoke about it the other day, not like on Twitter. I think like on one of his podcasts, because I just think it's like an obvious thing. He's gone. Like there's like why, you know?
But even his wages might F it up really leaving. But then again, early 20s, 100K, they'll do that.
Winning ways? Absolutely
I don't agree
not.
with selling Trossard. For me, the Trossard thing, that's a bit like, obviously, everyone's got a price. If certain offers are put to Trossard, to Jesus, and all of these guys, then they can go. But this is where I get not annoyed, but I don't think we can entertain selling, regardless of what people are saying, Jesus, Trossard, these guys. Like, we're trying to build a squad. Like, and Trossard has shown he's one of the, it feels disrespectful to say it, but he is an elite squad player for us. I don't think he took his chances starting in the North London derby, but he's lit, man. We can't be selling him. We've got other guys that Edu and his team need to put into selling. And until there's a day where, and I'm not expecting everyone to go, but you've got Lokonga, you've got Tierney, you've unfortunately got the young Charlie Patino and Mika Berev. You know, you've got Ramsdale's future and Ketia's future, Reece Nelson. If there is 30 million on the table from Brighton, that's got to be done. Smith Rowe, and I'm probably missing out a bag of players. And there's always a surprise departure as well. But yeah, Trossard can stay, man.
It's amazing to me, and like you guys know, I'm Trossard FC all day, every day. Like he could do nothing wrong. Like as far as I'm concerned, I love him so much. But like besides just general bias, we finally got a good squad player that's on decent money that didn't cost us a lot. That's scoring lots of good goals. Versatile. We've been asking for this for a long time. There's no reason to move Trossard on. There's no reason really to be pushing Jorginho out the door either. I think the question marks are around players that are not squad players that aren't living up to their starting potential. Like, if you know what I mean, that's the opportunity. We don't need to remove all of our experience either. You have Jesus, Zinchenko, Trossard, Jorginho, and Partey. Those are our 5 most experienced players in variations of experience, whether it's by winning or by age. You can't get rid of all of them. So some people got to stay. And Trossard is one of those. So
like Trossard's cool where he is, man. Like Trossard is calm.
I'm getting a Trossard kit next season. There's no way.
I don't know about that. Like, I got a bit more drip than that, man. He's a bit too basic for me. It's got to be
he's so niche. He's so niche. Like he's not a main star or anything like that, but he wears the number 19 very well. Because number 19 with Pepe, oh my gosh, he was stinking it up. Trossard, let's go.
That's harsh on Pepe, man. Trossard's obviously been better than him on the long part.
And you know it.
Nah, man. Pepe had his moments, man. He had a decent run of prolonged form, man. Trossard's obviously done better than him, but you're being harsh to Pepe, man. Harsh, man. But I'm happy that we're over them kind of times, if I'm completely honest, man. But there will come a time where, you know, probably within the next 18 months or so, I know there was talk a few weeks ago about Trossard signing a new deal, but just because of his age, he might be one that would be sold. But until we get these wingers and until we get more consistency from our wide options, we're making more problems than we've already got holes in. As much as I think we're getting a good squad, we've already got holes. That's why I don't understand Jesus talk of being sold, Trossard talk of being sold, this guy, that guy, and the third. We finally got some stability. I'm not saying that's the only reason they have to stay, but this is what we kind of need to do. People don't really see those kind of things because it's not sexy in football. Love for the super chat, Vegas, man. What have you said? Isn't Nico Williams already on 200 grand a week? Would Arsenal pay him more?
If he is, that's insane. That's
I don't know.
outrageous.
I don't think Bilbao's paying him that. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
do you think Athletic
that's
Bilbao have
crazy. If
that
he's
type of
getting that
cash?
Bilbao, big him up, man. But
Ah,
nah, man.
ah.
And even if he wasn't, if he was on like 120, you'd imagine he's gonna get put on them kind of wages at Arsenal
Yeah.
or around that figure. It's just the way life works. When you get a new job, you obviously want to get paid more.
Period.
But yeah, man, like big up Pepe for the FA Cup. But yeah, we're happy we're over that, you know. And that's one thing I've learned from Mikel Arteta, in that he's always planning different things. Because when it looked like there was light at the end of the tunnel with Aubameyang, Ozil, and Pepe, and even Torreira to a degree, Arteta said, "Nope, I've got something else." So you lot wouldn't sell Trossard now to get someone like Cavo or Rodrigo. Nobody said we wouldn't to kind of get them players. That wasn't
you don't
exactly.
have to sell him to get them. I don't understand why somebody has to go in order for you to bring that player in.
You
So
need
you
big
can bring
bucks
in a
for them players.
Rodrigo without that.
And none of us said that me or just didn't say we wouldn't do that, but it wasn't a factor. Someone just said, get rid of Trossard. I'm not for that. He's shown he can play on the left, through the middle, up front. He's scoring goals. He's one of the only players that really and truly, you kind of have some confidence when they are on the bench that they're going to do something. Everyone else is a bit hit and missy kind of thing. And he's been around the block, man. And he's been one of our best January players,
man. You got to keep Trossard's We'll see what happens. I do think there's an opportunity for someone that's more of a liked figure, somebody that's like a bigger player to go, but that's only based on a good bid coming in. Jesus could very well be here next season. So I don't think we should be considering him out the door just yet, you know.
And there's other things. Would you, last question before we obviously head off to your platform, would you take Grealish? Because he's another one that's been linked. Come on, man. You can't say Rashford and not Grealish. Come on, Jess. You wouldn't Arteta work his magic with Grealish?
He's not fast.
So?
He's not fast. He's a drunk.
So? Half our legends with that.
He's so
Rashford's a drunk. Rashford was in your country getting licked off his head when his girl left him. He was going in the trenches.
He's a unserious individual. He's 29.
He's a treble winner. He's a treble winner.
He would have won that shit whether he was there or not. I could have been in the team and we would have won. Shit.
Hey, when Scott Carson was there, man. Come on, man. Grealish is my guy. I'm having Grealish.
I don't think I would.
It makes no sense, but I'm having him.
Yeah. He could take that number 10.
You know, fuck it, go on then. Sorry, one low socks baller out for another one. I'm all for that. You know, I think the only thing with Grealish is he's not going to put up the numbers, but ball retention, which Arteta clearly favors, he'd do a lot of that. I'd rather Arteta work with Grealish than Rashford, if I'm honest.
But we'd both rather have Pedro Neto. Let's agree.
I don't want to agree with you, but yeah, man, now I'm playing. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We would.
Neto is not tainted by playing at a big team and failing. I like that aspect.
That's harsh. You think Grealish has failed at City?
Yes, absolutely. That is like a whole nother conversation. He gets away with it because he's in a good team for 100 million.
Oh, I hate all of that 100 million, but a failure.
Yeah, we're not talking about it. If they had bought him for 50.
But failure, Jess, that's a strong word. Failure.
He's been ass. Let's come on. He stinks. There.
You're
clips of him just like
Grealish must have aired your DM, man. Like, why are you onto him like this?
No, I like Grealish, just not for me.
And he could. I wouldn't want to play him in the left 8.
We always talk about players can play left 8 until we see him there and it stinks. No,
Grealish could do it. He's done it at Villa. He could do it. I could do it. Although, if last question,
he should go back to Villa.
To be fair, if they get Champions League, which fingers and everything crossed, then amen. Although if you sell Jesus and Eddie, then you can sign a striker and winger. You have Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard, new striker and a new winger. 6 options for 3 positions.
Graham, you're speaking my language. Graham. You're speaking my language.
I'm here for that. But people, we got to get out of here because we're going to Jess's channel. I'm sure we're going to go over a lot of talking points we've already had and then whatever she's got. So yeah, let them know where they can find you if they don't already know.
Yeah, guys. Just put She Knows Arsenal in the chat. Or not in the chat. What am I saying? The search. Sorry, you guys. My brain is fried.
It's early in the morning in America, man. Lower.
It's not even just it's early. Literally, I've just been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Like sitting here and doing the show This
Like
was
Kirill.
like a struggle to, you know, like I've enjoyed myself, obviously, but like getting here was trouble. Like it really was. But she knows Arsenal in the search bar. You'll see me there and we'll be live in about 2 minutes.
Exactly. We're live in 2 minutes, people. So yeah, I don't want to run over. I actually want to be on time. Again, people, head over there. We'll continue the Arsenal chat. Nice to have Jess back. And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. One love for your opinions, your super chats, and all of those good things. But we're out for now. We're going over to her platform. Peace.
Because you always use that active red light defending. I think it's like